Okay, and moving to the east, where do you want to start us, Alexander?
Alphabetically, I think we will take the Metro over the Atlantic, seeing as we are doing things a little backwards today.
Yeah, that's what we do sometimes.
So who starts us off the top of the Metro alphabetically?
It'll either be Carolina.
Carolina. They get a good. Moving on.
Yeah, I mean, nothing more to say about them, huh? So next would be Columbus.
I
Ooh.
think just bad,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
I think when we talked recording last month, they were around one of those wild card spots.
Yep,
Um,
sounds right.
they are not anymore.
No.
So yeah, they just eventually things always kind of find a way of working themselves out, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, things even out to where you thought they would be for most cases. And yeah, Columbus is back where we thought they would be, where they're a bottom half team of the league, bottom maybe quarter of the league. We'll see.
Right.
Um,
Maybe they
yeah,
can catch
see
a
how
hot
much they
streak here and there or something, but
or sell a bunch of the deadline and crash further. It's who knows,
yeah.
but yep, they're just bad.
Yep, that they are. So after Columbus, another big jump to New Jersey Devils.
This is also bad because they were in a much better spot a month ago
Yeah.
than they are now.
Yeah. It's kind of
They were
rough.
like, "Hey, is this a legit playoff team like in a really tough division?" Um, no, they're not. They're actually they've fallen below New Jersey and or Columbus, so
Oof. Yeah, that's
they're
pretty rough.
they're gonna have a hard time finding the bottom of the barrel at this point.
Uh-huh. So yeah, they're getting close. They're starting to smell it. Alright, so making quick work of them to the Rangers.
Ah,
Oh.
yes, the New York Hockey Rangers. I feel like we all saw this coming, didn't we?
Right, yes, of course. I think we all made in our predictions. Yeah,
You
I
know,
was about to say that.
like I messaged you some point before the start of the season. I was putting money down to like to win the Stanley Cup and try and make some money on a long shot prediction. I'm like, this might actually happen. I think it was the Rangers and the Winnipeg Jets to
Mm-hmm.
face each other in the finals, and the Jets pick is not turning out great right now, as we previously mentioned. But Rangers points percentage wise are a top five team in the league.
It's crazy.
They're getting good goaltending. They're getting balanced scoring. Like
Yeah,
they're,
it's
they're doing a good job. And honestly, I think it's the coach.
weird.
I feel like that was one of the best things they did was getting rid of David Quinn, um,
Right.
and moving on to Gerard Gallant, who is a decent
Yeah.
coach. And yeah, it's year one. Sometimes you get your most success in year one with a new coach.
Uh huh.
Message hasn't got old. Everybody's buying in because it's working. And yeah, 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 here we go. So,
Right.
and they have had enough draft picks and talent and signed some decent guys
Mm-hmm.
that, you know what? You got Adam Fox for free because he didn't want to play for anybody else, and he's the Norris Trophy winner. You got a number one overall pick and a number two overall pick that you didn't earn. You got lottery luck.
Right.
You were able to sign Artemi Panarin because he wanted to play in New York City. Like
Right. How could it
you
line up any
have
better?
you have things lining up for you to be successful. And hey, look, they're being successful.
Right.
So whoop de freaking do. I mean, you moved on from Lundqvist because you know what? We got young, talented Russian guy coming, so let's get rid of the king. And hey, it's working out.
Yeah.
Rangers are a solid team.
Yeah, they
They're a
are.
very solid team, and this year they might also have a little bit more grit for an actual playoff run. It's not like a I think of the Rangers and I don't think of Toronto from a couple of years ago. To where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so here's all this young talent. You're not going to do anything in the playoffs, and you
No.
fall apart. I
No.
think of the Rangers differently than that. I think they're better built, and so I think we'll be talking about the Rangers on the good side for a while.
I think so. I think to me they're like some other teams. Like, wait, they're doing how good? What? The Rangers? Huh. Sure enough, yep.
Yep.
So, no, I think it's cool. I'm good with it. So, excited to watch and see what they do, what kind of noise they make in the playoffs. And that kind of flips us to the other side of the coin for the Islanders.
Ugly. They were ugly last month. They're ugly again this month.
Yes, which that's a big head scratcher.
They have turned it around. They've won 5 out of their last 10 games.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not hemorrhaging the points they were before.
Right.
They have not turned it around as sharply and steeply as, say, like Vancouver did. Like, both those teams were like,
yeah.
why are you guys down here? I will say this. Their issue is goal scoring, which can change
Ooh.
if some guys get hot.
Ooh.
Because their defense is still like, it's definitely top 10. It might be top 5 as far as goals for go, but their scoring is second to last in the league.
I was just looking at that. That's atrocious. Oh.
And I don't feel like they really did anything in the offseason that all their goals went away.
Right.
It's not like they lost like a top center or a top winger, but they can't score. They can't score.
Such a head scratcher.
I don't know statistically like what their percentage of that. Like, oh yeah, they're as a team they're shooting like way below league average shooting percentage, or if they're just not generating enough shots in their system, or they just seem to hit all the hot goaltenders and teams, or what the deal is. But you got to score more than 64 goals in 28 games. That's really bad.
It's like I said, the fact that only one other team is worse than them, that's... Yeah, I mean, that's rough.
Literally. At their 64 goals in 28 games, Florida has 128 goals. They have exactly double the amount of goals. Like, you are, score more goals, win more games. It's really that simple.
How that works.
Yeah. So,
Ugh.
yeah. You know what it takes to fix it? Because, like, the defensive structure is not the problem.
No, it's not. It's really not.
But also where they're at, it's not like there's not like a simple fix of like, oh, we're just waiting for so and so to come back from injury. It's like,
right.
Barzal's been healthy this year. Like, shouldn't your team be playing better on that side of the puck?
Yeah.
No, apparently not. Like, this is a team where, like, boy, if you could trade for Tarasenko right now and not, and just throw him into your top 6 and be like, hey, he's hot. Let's take his goals. You would start winning games.
Oh, yeah.
But at this point, even if they start winning games, it's not going to matter.
No. They are buried.
At least they were not the team I predicted to win the Stanley Cup.
Very true. So, moving on then, that brings us to Philly.
They're still in the league.
Yeah. Right at even 500.
I think for this month they get a bad. I mean, they've played better, but for what they were supposed to be, I
I'm okay giving them bad. It's they're minus 21, so.
Yeah, and I know when we do this, we're trying to think back like over the last month, but I don't really know where they were last month because they're just like a nothing team. Right.
Yep. Yeah.
So
nope, I'm okay to slap a bat on them and boogie on to Pittsburgh.
That's the highest side of good that I think we have. They're the hottest team in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
They got 8 wins in a row, 8-1-1 in their last 10.
Yeah, that's insane.
They're just, it's like, oh, so what happened was you didn't have Malkin and Crosby and Letang and Gensel to start the year. You found a way to win a bunch of games. They came back and you found a way to keep winning a bunch of games.
Right. So it's like we talked about. It's just annoying. They just won't go away no matter what happens to them. They're still here.
It doesn't matter who you call up to play; they just come in and play hard.
Yeah.
And I heard, don't know who I was listening to talk about this, but it was probably one of the main podcasts, that Mike Sullivan plays a very demanding style of hockey.
Hmm.
It's very aggressive and physical, like you're on the forecheck all the time, doing that even in the regular season. But if you get the team to buy into that, it's so hard to play against.
Oh
And that's
yeah.
why you could have guys that aren't Sidney Crosby and Malkin come up and play and be successful because like the whole team plays this way, this structure, and everybody plays their role and everybody pulls in the same direction. I don't know, and I assume the reasons it doesn't work is because you have a goaltending issue,
Right. Yep.
right? Because every goaltender that's ever played bad got his coach fired.
Oh
There's no such thing as bad coaches. There's bad goalies.
yes.
And so this year they're getting the goaltending.
They are.
You know, Jari has
Surprisingly so.
been,
Yeah. Yeah.
not been bad. And actually, he wasn't even bad last year either. It's just he was bad in the playoffs.
That
He
recency
was
bias.
bad when it mattered.
Uh-huh.
So that's the same question this year. Is like, well, will he be mentally stronger and better in the playoffs? Well, we're going to find out because Pittsburgh's going to make the playoffs. They don't make the playoffs with a bye at this point.
Right.
Yes, I know there's no buys, but granted they are just in the top wild card spot. But like they're hot right now, and they're gonna catch somebody.
Oh yeah. That they are. Like I said, there's those pesky pests that just don't go away. It's that bad penny. Keeps turning up. So last but certainly not least, we have Washington.
Give them their flowers.
Right.
Just give them their flowers. You know, age is a myth apparently in Washington.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, Ovechkin is having an MVP kind of year. Like, I honestly at this point would give it to him over McDavid, over Draisaitl, over anybody else you want to name, really, because I think Ovi has done something this year, is doing something this year that is phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal in the way that he has absolutely taken this team and kept them going, kept them alive through injuries to Backstrom, and to take a guy that is like the all-time greatest goal scorer and to lead your team in assists.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
that is a true leader and player right there. That, I mean, most valuable.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. As not only is he getting a lot of goals, he's getting a lot of assists, which is kind of unusual for him, but he's doing what needs to be done and having a good time doing it.
And continuing to put up goals. Last I knew, he was leading his team in both goals and assists. It's like,
Wait, what? Ovechkin? Huh.
Yep. Yeah.
Wait, are you sure? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It was true last week sometime when he played Detroit, because they played like New Year's Eve in Detroit,
Yeah.
and going into that game, he was leading the team in goals, assists, and obviously points.
Crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, no,
From the
very
wing.
good on
Yep.
them. Currently tied for first with the Rangers, so see how that keeps playing out. Alright, anything else for them or anybody in the Metro?
Nope. Metro's got some really good teams in it.
Yes, yeah, they do. So let's bounce over to the Atlantic with Boston.
Through Boston, let's move forward.
I'm good with that. Yep.
So, little context for y'all. Boston just beat the Red Wings on Sunday, like handily spanked the backside of them like a child.
Right.
It wasn't particularly fun. The highlight of the day was Brad Marchand getting into a fist fight with Vladislav Namestnikov and kind of getting his lunch handed to him a little bit. I mean, the fights in the NHL nowadays, there's really no real punches landed. Nobody's trying to hurt each other, whatnot. They basically just grab each other's jerseys and swing and miss each other's heads back and forth until they fall to the ice. If you
Yay.
wanted to hurt somebody, like you wouldn't throw that style punch. You'd be throwing some uppercuts. You throw in some body blows. You'd
Mm-hmm.
smash your fist across their forearm to knock their arm off of your sweater. Like if you're actually fighting,
Right.
um, it's more so a dance. Um,
Ceremonial thing, eh?
yeah, yeah. So, so um, it would have been nice to see Marchand get a couple more punches in his face that
Oh
were
yeah, we
legit.
always want to see that.
Didn't happen.
Oh, boo.
But whatever.
Right.
So, not a huge fan of Boston right now. They're basically the team that's going to keep Detroit from being in a playoff spot, which is fine because somebody's got to do it.
Right. But why does
Because
it
we're
have to
really
be
not a playoff
Boston?
team. Yeah, but why is it got to be Boston? Yep,
Same thing
exactly.
as Pittsburgh. Just keeps coming back, no matter how much they shouldn't be playing. And it shouldn't be back. They keep coming back.
Yep.
All right. So next we have Buffalo.
They're in the bad category again.
Yep.
Yeah, for a team that you don't expect much from, you got to do something really bad to be put in the ugly category.
Right. Yep. Yep. Yes, and since they're sixth in their division, I'd say that's the bad
They
category, not the ugly. So.
they started out hotter than we thought. I think we probably
Uh
did
huh.
a good last time, or maybe the first episode we did, but they've gone back to bad,
Yep.
which
Going
is
back to their true form, which we expected. All right. Well, the next team I'll let you take away with Detroit.
because it's a team that you don't expect to be around the playoffs, and they are. I think I still have to give them a good.
I agree.
They're still running right around 500, depending on how you calculate 500 in the NHL. And I gotta give them credit for doing things this year that I didn't expect them to do. Relying on some rookies to play big minutes. You always hear coaches, say, like everybody's got to earn their ice time, and well, if this guy plays better than one of the veterans, he'll play more ice time,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And you watch the game, and you're like, okay, how come the rookie didn't get more ice time? Like, well, I thought the veteran had a better night. Like, I didn't.
Right.
Um, this is one of those cases where it's like, yeah, the rookie is clearly better than the veterans that are out there. Um, our best defenseman is a rookie named Mo Sider, who is 20 years old, and it's not particularly close. It's really not. He's only played 33 games now in his NHL career, and he is dominant in most of those. He is noticeable in every game he plays. He is smooth, he is confident, and he is really strong. Um, to watch grown men come after this rookie and try and hit him, and he reverse hits them, and he just stands there and they just fall at his feet is one of the most satisfying things to watch happen. He did it to a guy in Washington the other night. He did it to David Pastrnak on Sunday. It's the kid's unflappable. He is calm in every situation. He never looks flustered. He's going to be a defenseman you're going to hear about for years and years and years. Um, it's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah.
So super excited for that in Detroit. A rookie forward, Lucas Raymond, who's um, putting up points as a rookie. He gets to play on the top line. He came into camp and had a really good camp, and then their top winger is out with injury, and Jacob Verana, and so there was a spot, and it's like, well, we drafted the kid fourth overall. He's playing real well. He's kind of a top line player someday. Let's put him up there with Larkin and Bertuzzi and see what he's got. And he's hung with them and been fantastic. So the kids are leading the way in Detroit. So this rise that they're having isn't, hey, we got some veteran players to help bring the kids along while they learn. It's like, nope, we gave the kids the keys and they are driving this thing. So it's really exciting just to be just outside of the playoffs for Detroit right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not every team is like, boy, if we could just be outside the playoff bubble, we'd be so happy with that. It's like, that's actually kind of right where I want to be. I
Yeah.
want to have
Oh yeah.
success, lots of success, lots of fun games. Games like tonight we whooped up on San Jose 6-2, and but still miss the playoffs because we still need some high draft picks and
Yeah.
still need to sell at the deadline to get some more draft picks, and benefits there before we're fully ready to say, okay, the cupboard's full. Now we can go be a good team.
Right. Come out swinging.
So
Come out full force.
this in my mind is the last year of you know not playing intentionally bad, but not trying to be the best team you could put out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then starting next year will be okay. Best team that we can field every single night.
Let's go.
Let's buy at the deadline. Let's make a run for the playoffs. Let's start playing meaningful games in the spring.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
so I honestly feel like with where they've drafted these particular players at, to hit on them has shortened the expected window of the
Mm-hmm.
rebuild. That's the only way you shorten a rebuild is actually, hey, the player we drafted at seventh actually ended up being the second best player in that draft, kind of thing. If
Crazy.
if you gotta get number one and number two picks like the Rangers did, you gotta nail the pick that you're given,
Oh yeah.
and they have done so far. So
Things are looking up.
very excited for Detroit.
Oh
Good
yeah.
times in Detroit.
Yes. Let's do it. All right. Good times in
Still,
Detroit. What's
I
that?
would get rid of Blash. I would be okay still getting rid of Blash Hill at any point.
Right. Once you get a good team, get a good coach to pair up and
There's
hit the
there's
gas.
part of it because with Paul Maurice now stepping out of Winnipeg, Jeff Blashill is the second longest tenured head coach behind Cooper in Tampa Bay.
What?
Yeah, yeah. I believe Blashill's been there 8 years,
Oh, wow.
and the fact that he is still there tells me that it's like he might actually be a good coach that's just never had anything to work with, and management understands that. And this year he has something to work with, and hey, they're a better team.
Right.
And then next year they'll be a little bit better team, and like, hey, we'll play a little bit better. It's like, so he's just gonna kind of keep inching his way forward. It's like, well, you can't fire me. We're still winning. Hey, you can't fire me. We're winning a little bit more.
Should have fired me when you had the chance.
The time to fire him was when you were trash, but you wanted to be trash, and you were. So it's like,
Right? Yeah.
what are you doing? I mean, you hire a coach and tell him to win games while management's going, we're not trying to win games. It's not
Yeah.
really fair to fire a guy when you don't give him a chance. So, and I like Jeff Blashill as an individual.
Mm.
Like listening to his press conferences, the things he does in the community, the quality character, the guy that he presents himself as. I don't mind him as an individual.
That helps.
So, yeah. But at some point, I don't see Jeff Blashill holding the Stanley Cup.
Right.
I think it's a different coach that comes in and finishes it.
Yep. He just placeholder
But
right now.
anyway, this isn't a Red Wings podcast. It's the whole league.
Yeah, that's right. We can vamp on our favorite teams. It's fine. So, but yeah, good times in Detroit and good times, I'd say, for the next team, the Florida Panthers.
Their good times are rolling.
Oh, yes. Yes, they are. Yeah, anything else to say on them other than good times rolling?
Expected them to be a good team this year. They're a good team this year.
Yep.
Keep it going.
Yep. All right, so that takes us to Montreal.
Still ugly.
Ooh. Very ugly.
That is the other team that's down there with Arizona, like we talked about earlier. Of, you bad.
You very bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
That, get scored on, can't seem to score. Is a -50 plus minus right now. Like 1-7-2 in their last 10. Just a miserable existence right now for Montreal.
Woof.
That's too bad.
Yep.
How the mighty have fallen.
Uh-huh.
Because you're literally 6 months ago you were in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah. What a momentum swing, or just what a swing for the fans. That's rough. That's very rough, and doesn't get much better for the next team we're going to of Ottawa.
I feel like we expected more from Ottawa this year,
I know I did. So
and they have failed to even hit that. Like I expected them to be around that bubble playoff, and they
uh-huh.
are third worst team in the league.
Ooh, does that qualify for an ugly then?
I think that's only fair.
Yeah, I think that's ugly. Just not a whole lot of good going on right there. So, ugh. Yeah, not a whole lot good there going on. But we can bump over to Tampa Bay and see what's going on there.
Tampa Bay's still good. Again, a good team we thought would be good and is good. So
It's all good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. I mean, Kucherov still isn't back. Um, that's like, wait a minute, you're still one of the top. They're the top point getters right now, but they're not the top point percentage.
Mm-hmm.
But they're in like the top 10,
Oh
top
yeah.
five, somewhere in there.
So
And
it's
that's
whatever.
without Kucherov. It's like, well,
Sure.
I think
Seems
you guys are still fine.
seems fine.
Um,
Yeah.
with, without being able to pull up the stats and stuff, I imagine Vasilevsky is doing more yeoman's work this year, just
Mm-hmm.
because he plays the vast majority of the games and they win the vast majority of their games. So, hey,
Right.
look, having the greatest goaltender currently in the world really lets you be a good team
It
if your best
sure
players are
does
gone.
a whole lot. That's for sure.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yep, good on them, and see what kind of see if they can repeat. Or I might be getting a little ahead of myself, but here we are. That's what we do. All right. So, lastly, we wrap up with Toronto.
I don't think anybody really thinks cares about Toronto, so we could just kind of say they're good and move on.
Please, done. I'm good with that. So, all right. Well, that wraps up our East talk. Anything else you wish to bring up and/or discuss before we come to a close?
I'm trying to think if there's anything like more like league wide or looking forward to wide. And the only thing that really comes to mind is what's going to the All Star break is going to look like, and or
Yep.
I guess the games are going to try and make up that they've been postponing and moving around um, come next month
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they feel over
because
time.
we talked about I think previously that there would be a decent pause in the season and how would that break for teams that were hot? Would they come back cold? How would that break for teams that were cold? Would they come back hot? Kind of thing. Like if the whole league had a chance to reset for the 2 3 weeks they were going to be off, um, and that might not happen. In fact, for a lot of teams, it's probably not going to happen because you have games to make up,
A lot of
and
games.
yeah, and you're going to also have to fit in games like even after that break to where like you might have had 3 games in a week and now you're gonna have 4 games in a week. You're gonna be playing 4 games in 7,
Oh yes.
3 out of 4 weeks in a month.
Yep.
Um, so I think I think it's shaping up to be a very difficult end to the season. We're a little over a third the way through. Most teams have played um, 30 plus games at this point. There's a
Mm-hmm.
few still down in the high 20s, but everybody's basically played a third of their season. And at this point, you feel like you kind of know who's who at
Mm-hmm.
this point. Um, and I would even say you can basically call most of the playoffs at this point of they're in, they're in, they're in, they're out, they're out, they're out.
Right.
I think there's a pretty clear dividing line on both sides. The only thing that's different is like Vancouver's playing really hot right now. So give them another month and they're going to be up just outside the playoff bubble. Give them another month, they could be inside a playoff
Right.
spot. Whereas right now, if you cut them off, it'd be like, well, no, they're coming. Um, Obviously, for them to get in, somebody's got to come out. And the question of, okay, well, who's going to fall out? Somebody will. Somebody goes cold. Somebody gets an injury to, McDavid goes down for the rest of the season with something. And it's like,
All
well,
right. Well, then they're
there
definitely out.
goes
Yep.
Edmonton. So, yeah, there's part of me that says like this year we don't even have to do like a graveyard or anything. It's just like, you know what, right now, just cut the league in half and say the top half is in the playoffs, the bottom half is out, and we will give ourselves like 2 exceptions to that.
Yeah.
It's that stark like this year
Right.
in my mind.
Which
Um,
again, that's what makes it so entertaining. You don't know how it's going
yeah,
to finish out, and it's not
yep,
predictable, which is good and bad. Some depending on which way you're looking at it.
yep. And I know I think we usually start the graveyard this early, but I think with the pauses and stuff, and we don't know how the season's going to end, we'll either skip it this year or we'll move it to further down the road. Because right now, I think I could probably bury like 7 or 8 teams tonight and feel really confident in that.
Right.
In fact, it's probably even a higher number. I was looking at this right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's in one conference.
Oof.
7,
Oof.
8,
Oof.
9.
Yeah.
I think I could probably bury about 10 teams confidently right now and just say no, they're not. They're not going to be a playoff team.
Right.
It's just a very lopsided league this year.
Right. So yeah.
The top is rich, the bottom's poor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We'll see who keeps going. So, alrighty. Well, without any else further ado, I'm Justin,
I'm Alexander.
and we're the hockey podcast you're about to hear, which you just did. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.